Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Juice is the New Tea. I am your host, your girl, the chick, Eleni Simos, and I'm excited to kick things off today, coming at you hot with a solo episode. So before we get into the juice of today's mindset talk, I want to first express my love and my gratitude for the warm receipt of not only this project, but this show and the previous episodes. Every message, every comment, every DM, every text. Some people even picked up the damn phone to call me. It really meant the world to me. And I just feel like this creative process of this show, from putting the guest list together to creating the content to writing and researching, honestly has breathed fresh life into me. And I'm just really excited. So I wanted to say thank you, thank you, thank you. May all of the love, all of the light, all of the support and the energy that you all have so graciously given me the last few weeks, may it be returned to you tenfold, baby. Now imagine me waving my little fairy wand over each of you. Bless. So today I want to chat a little bit about a solo episode. So these solo episodes are something I'll be weaving in alongside guest episodes. So while I love bringing you conversations with amazing people, I also wanted to create a space for us to connect and where I can get a little bit more vulnerable and raw and real on some of the experiences I've had. A little bit of the nitty gritty, the in-between moments where shit feels uncertain. And to the most common message I've received these last few weeks from most of you were regarding this podcast. Of course, this would be the natural next step for you, which honestly meant a lot to me to receive that message. Not only did it confirm what I was personally feeling called to create, but it also was just validation of how paralyzing imposter syndrome can be. So I mentioned that it took me quite some time to bring the show to life. Yes, partially because I didn't have a name that I loved, but also it was because at times when it would come to the idea of bringing this project to life, I was battling inner dialogue that was giving me every reason under Venus not to do this. So it can be challenging to keep you and your mindset in check. However, it was through these practices that I'm going to get into with you today that really got me to tune out the inner chatter so I could tune in to what my higher self, my inner wisdom was telling me. So first off, what is imposter syndrome? It's defined as self-doubt of intellect, skills, or accomplishments. If you've ever felt like you don't deserve your achievements, or if you feel like you're not qualified, talented, or as worthy as you think you need to be, you've experienced imposter syndrome. And trust me, it's more common than you think. Amongst some of the most highest performing individuals, almost everyone I know, myself included, has experienced some version of imposter syndrome. And I think social media over the last few years has made the concept of imposter syndrome and comparison mode totally out of control. To me, that's the real pandemic, is imposter syndrome and comparison mode. So why does imposter syndrome happen? Here are a few reasons that personally for me, I feel. So number one, perfectionism, which I believe is a block to creative expression and success. The idea that anything should be perfect is such an unattainable goal. And for me, over these last few years, the real magic is in the messy moments. My approach has become less about perfectionism and more about raw, authentic, and vulnerable. And I feel like that's more relatable. Another reason why imposter syndrome kicks in when we compare ourselves to others. Again, big ups to social media for that one. Remember, the real thief of joy is comparison. And the grass is greener where you water it, my friends. Everyone's journey is different. Everyone's personal timeline is authentic and divinely designed for that person. There is no sense in concerning yourself with what someone else is doing or not doing. The easiest way to get yourself back into alignment is to get out of comparison mode and get into gratitude. I'll leave you with that. Get it out of comparison mode and into gratitude. The third reason why imposter syndrome happens is the fear of failure or the fear of success. Being scared of your own potential is, I think, even more common than the fear of failure. Why? Because with more success comes more responsibility and accountability. And some people tend to shy away from that. But remember, pressure makes diamonds, baby, so lean into it. If you've experienced, identified, or battled with any of these above thoughts, congratulations, we're in this together. And I recently shared on social that it was hard for me to listen to the first episode of the podcast show that I recorded. It was so embarrassing. When I had first filmed it, I thought to myself, boom, done. One shot, one kill. That was a banger. And then 48 hours later, I was totally second guessing myself. I thought, damn, it's that good old imposter syndrome coming right in to derail me and my excitement. And then I quickly caught myself and I was like, no. We've been here before and we're not going down this rabbit hole again. I am qualified to do this. I have a message to share that I know that 1 or 100 or 1,000 people need to hear. This particular project is something that I felt called to share. And when the universe calls, you either talk yourself out of it or you answer that call. So with that, how do I get myself out of imposter syndrome and into embodiment? Embodying the energy of my higher self. So I share these tactics with you. First things first, I recognize it. I acknowledge it. I notice when these thoughts come up, and instead of letting them take over and identifying with these thoughts, I instead become aware of them, because awareness is key. And most importantly, not every thought that we think is true. I cannot stress that enough. There's an ancient Indian text that said, your mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy. So we must train our minds to be able to differentiate between the voices of our ego and the voices of our insecurity, right? And to differentiate between those voices and the voice of our higher selves, our intuition, our inner wisdom. Secondly, I reframe the narrative. Instead of thinking to myself, I don't belong here, I shift it to something positive. And I tell myself, if I'm feeling uncomfortable, I am learning, I am growing, I am deserving of this new space. And one of my personal favorite mantras that I recite to myself if I ever feel uncertain before I take that big leap of faith, I remember this, and I wish I remember where I heard it, but the chosen ones choose themselves. We were all put here to do something legendary. So when you feel that call, again, I can't stress enough, when you feel that nudge, answer it. We all have a purpose to fulfill. And ultimately, it really is up to us to make it happen. Next, I do a little win check. Very rarely do we even allow ourselves to celebrate our wins. So if I'm ever in my head when it comes to making a new move or starting a new project, I write down or I verbally speak out loud my wins, my skills, my accomplishments, and my experiences. I literally remind myself that I am capable. You are capable. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been gifted the opportunity. The universe wouldn't have made your path align perfectly with that opportunity if you weren't ready to rise into it. Trust that. Own your worth and remember who you are, and every adversity that you have powered through to this very moment, you made it, you got here, and guess what? You're still going. Lastly, if I'm still in my head at this point, I talk it out. I go to my wisdom council and I share whatever it is that I'm going through with trusted friends or mentors, people I know who may have experienced it. And at that point, a few things happen. Your strengths, your readiness, and is all mirrored back to you. And your people who love you in your life, you realize that you are not alone and that most people, even the most successful people, accomplished people who seem to have it all effortlessly figured out, have experienced not only not feeling worthy or good enough at least once in their lives. So on a secondary note, if you're still having a hard time figuring out who your real people are in your wisdom council, I have a little exercise for you to try. I did this about 2 years ago, and it really put a lot into perspective for me. It changed my circle entirely, and it brought me closer to the people I wanted to get closer to and allowed the people that weren't for me to naturally fade into the background. So about 2 years ago, I made a list of the people closest to me, and I asked myself this question, these actually 5 questions. The first one was, do they believe in me? The second one was, do they inspire me, and what have I learned from them? The third was, have they reached a level of success that I desire? Whether that's owning a business, a home, or do they have a healthy, successful relationship? The things that mattered most to me, I was curious if they had that. And then I asked them, what was the last bit of content that they shared with me? Was it something mindless or something thought-provoking? And then lastly, do I believe in them? I remember doing this exercise and really getting real with how I was spending my time and who I was spending it with and what we were doing when we were talking or spending time together. Did it feel like it was for a bigger purpose, or did it feel like I was wasting my time? Having a supportive friend group, that inspires you, that you can feel and be yourself around, that you trust is essential for your mental, physical, and spiritual health. The people you have around you can either break you or build you. And as we wrap up here, I will leave you with this quick little idea. Detach from the idea of perfection. Remember, progress over perfection every day, 1% better every day. You don't have to be the expert. You just have to show up with an open heart, pure intentions, and be ready to learn, be ready to give and to grow and to share. So with that, this space, this podcast, Juice is the New Tea, is about getting real, evolving and supporting each other through it all. The good, the bad, the in-between, the uncertainty, to remember that you are exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you are meant to be doing. So I want to leave you with this little affirmation to carry you into the rest of your week. You can repeat to yourself, I am walking with faith and fearlessness into the new and uncertain. I welcome this new chapter with an open and willing heart. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You can DM me, leave a review, or share this episode if it resonated with you. I love hearing your stories and connecting. And coming up, I've got some exciting guest conversations, but I will also be back with some more solo chats because the chick got things to say, honey. So until then, keep growing, keep shining, and we'll see you on the next episode of Juice is the New Tea. Juice is the New Tea is brought to you by Cleanse Juices. For more information on 3-day juice cleanses and 4 flavor packs, visit iamcleanse.com. Use code JUICEISTHENEWT for 10% off all orders.